In modern society, where constant sharing and transparency are praised as the highest virtues, there remains an ancient principle that quietly governs the games of power: strategic silence. While the crowd rushes to flaunt their intentions, expose their emotions, and lay bare their strategies, the one who truly holds power is the silent observer, letting others reveal their cards. No one needs to teach us how to talk too much. Society has done that all too well. But few understand that saying less is how you actually control the game. This is not unconscious silence, but intentional silence, knowing when to withhold information, when to let others expose their own weaknesses. Here, power does not lie in speaking, but in knowing when not to speak. Timely silence keeps you free, unbound by your words. It maintains distance, forcing others to guess your next move, and it grants you an invisible advantage that no words can ever provide. From understanding human nature, to managing perception, to executing subtle control tactics in the modern landscape, it all revolves around one single core. Timely silence holds more power than any speech. What will be shared next is not just philosophy, but weaponry in the hands of those who know how to wield it. 1. Human nature, the unvarnished truth. There is a truth that few dare to admit. Most people do not act based on ideals or moral principles. They live according to immediate needs, personal interests, and what they can see and hear. This is not a pessimistic perspective, but rather a clear-eyed understanding that Machiavelli, the renowned Italian political thinker, recognized over 500 years ago. In The Prince, he did not dream of an ideal society, nor did he paint human nature in rosy colors. On the contrary, he stripped away the illusions to reveal how power truly operates upon the foundation of our deepest instincts. He wrote, "Men are simple-minded and easily dominated by their immediate needs. So the deceiver will always find those willing to be deceived." This statement forms the backbone of Machiavelli's entire view of human nature. He did not claim that people are evil, but rather that they are predictable, easily influenced when swept up in their fears and desires. Though they may preach about justice, morality, or ideals, when faced with personal interests, they readily change their stance in the blink of an eye. Thus, Machiavelli believed that if you want to understand power, you cannot rely on what people say. You must observe how they react when cornered, when their interests are threatened, when fear or greed arises. At that moment, ideals vanish, leaving only raw survival instinct. He also pointed out that even in the closest relationships between friends, colleagues, even lovers or spouses, loyalty and dedication only endure as long as they do not conflict with personal interests. Someone may appear to love you, stand by your side, but when forced to choose between you and their own gain, most will protect themselves. So where does this leave us? Is society hopeless? Machiavelli did not think so. Instead of lamenting or trying to change human nature, he urged us to accept it and build strategies accordingly. A leader cannot govern effectively if they expect people to always be honest, moral, or steadfast. They must know when loyalty will falter, when the crowd will shift, when fear and greed will dictate every decision. This viewpoint explains many phenomena in the modern world. Look at political campaigns, where leaders do not just speak of ideals but strike at the fears and hopes of the people. They know that to win elections, they cannot simply talk about what is right. They must speak to what stirs the survival instincts of human beings. In business, the most successful marketing strategies are not always rooted in truth but in creating urgency, scarcity, and fear of missing out, FOMO. These emotions trigger survival instincts and push people beyond their rational boundaries. Even in personal relationships, this nature is evident. Those who constantly seek approval from others, who sacrifice excessively without setting boundaries, often fall into a position of weakness. Meanwhile, those who understand that relationships are exchanges, not necessarily bad, maintain balance. They do not let emotions fully overwhelm reason. Machiavelli also said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This is a reminder that most people judge each other by appearances, by what they want to believe, not by truth. This creates a wide gap between reality and image, and whoever controls that gap controls power. Those who grasp this difference can maintain a safe, stable position. They are not easily wounded by emotional judgments from others, nor are they dependent on how others perceive them. They understand that sometimes holding back part of the truth for oneself is a way to protect personal boundaries and maintain control in complex situations. At the societal level, this insight helps explain why weak leaders, no matter how noble their ideals, often fail. They expect people to always act for the collective good, but they forget that when hardship arises, everyone prioritizes their own survival. In contrast, leaders who understand that they must appeal to both the fears and self-interests of the people are the ones who maintain power in the long run. In summary, Machiavelli did not accuse people but showed us how to look squarely at their true nature. Instead of building castles in the sky, he grounded his theories on the solid earth of reality, and this is why his philosophy, centuries later, still holds value, because human beings, in every era, remain creatures governed by fear and desire. 2. Love or fear, the mechanism of control. Throughout every civilization, across all layers of society, one question has never ceased to haunt: what keeps people under the rule of another? Is it affection, or is it fear? Machiavelli did not shy away from this question. He dissected it with the sharp blade of reason, unyielding, unembellished, and his answer was so blunt it shocks. If one must choose between being loved and being feared, it is better to be feared. This is not a call to become a tyrant, nor is it an endorsement of senseless cruelty. It is a realistic view of human nature, something Machiavelli understood deeply. He knew that at their core, human beings are creatures driven by self-interest, by fear of loss, and by the need for safety above all else. Love is an emotion, and emotions are easily swayed. Fear is a survival instinct, and instincts are rooted far deeper. Picture a leader who is loved by everyone. He dispenses favors, builds loyalty through kindness and closeness. But at some point, when greed or discontent arises in others, will that love still be a strong enough barrier? When their interests clash with those of the leader, will they still choose loyalty, or will they turn away, betray? Machiavelli had witnessed too many times where love collapsed in the face of self-interest. Conversely, fear has more staying power. A person may cease to love, but the fear of consequences always lingers. Machiavelli did not advocate violence or blind cruelty. He drew a clear line between instilling fear and inciting hatred. A wise leader, in his view, is one who maintains just enough distance, not allowing others to grow hostile, but also not letting them forget there are limits they cannot cross without paying a price. This mechanism of control is not confined to royal courts, thrones, or military campaigns. It weaves its way into every corner of modern life. A boss may be friendly, but if he does not set clear boundaries, if there are no serious consequences for violations, will his employees respect him or exploit his leniency? A parent, if they only offer unconditional love without setting rules or limits that the child must respect, do they foster respect or merely indulgence? Machiavelli understood well, love is easy, fragile, and dependent on circumstances. When all is well, love is easy. When storms arise, love is the first to retreat. But fear is different. Fear seeps into the marrow. It endures even when love has long gone. And because of this, fear is a stronger foundation for maintaining power. In personal relationships, this mechanism still operates. The one who holds the upper hand is not the one who loves more, but the one willing to walk away, the one who can leave at any moment, who is not overly dependent on emotions, who does not fear loss. This is the person in control. Love, without the balance of the fear of loss, easily becomes dependence. A person who loves too much, gives too much, but does not create the sense that they could walk away at any time, is easily taken for granted. Meanwhile, the one who holds something back, who can make the other fear losing them, is the one who maintains the upper hand. Machiavelli did not encourage becoming a cold-hearted dictator. He simply exposed a truth most of us hesitate to face. People respect boundaries, not leniency. They fear consequences, not emotions. And the most sustainable power, the most effective control, lies in managing the fear of others, keeping it at just the right level. Never letting it become hatred, but never letting it disappear entirely. In the workplace, this explains why overly lenient managers are often overstepped, while those who maintain distance and establish clear boundaries are respected. In politics, This explains why leaders who create systems of clear laws with serious consequences maintain order longer than those who merely try to appease the public. Love and fear, two seemingly opposing forces, are branches of the same river of power. But if one must choose, Machiavelli advises choosing fear, because love is temporary, fear is permanent. At a deeper level, this mechanism reveals yet another truth. Power does not lie in being loved. Power lies in the ability to make others feel they must respect you, even if they do not love you. A wise leader does not need to win everyone's heart. They only need to make opponents hesitate, and allies feel safer standing by their side. And that does not come from sweet words. It comes from knowing when to instill fear. Love or fear, in the world Machiavelli unveils, the answer has never been clearer. Free. Perception management, the appearance of virtue. Machiavelli understood one fundamental truth. The world does not operate on what is real, but on what people believe is real. Power does not depend on who you are, but on who others think you are. And at this point, he presents one of the sharpest strategies for power, perception management. You do not need to be perfect, you just need to appear perfect. You do not need to possess virtue at all times, you just need to project the appearance of virtue. He once wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. This is the gap between reality and image, between essence and appearance, and this is the most fertile ground for those who understand how to manipulate perception." In that space, you do not need to change yourself, you only need to change how others see you. Why is appearance so important? Because humans, as Machiavelli observed, are not the rational creatures they claim to be. They are creatures of emotion, of snap judgments based on surface impressions. They do not have the time or the capacity to delve into essence. They see the appearance and immediately conclude. A foolish leader who skillfully builds the image of intellect is more easily admired than a talented leader who clumsily presents himself. A person who appears virtuous, even if only on the surface, has more opportunities to advance than someone who lives truthfully becomes across as rough. For this reason, Machiavelli did not advise living well but advised appearing to live well. You may be ruthless in your decisions, but maintain the image of compassion. You may be ready to deceive when necessary, but always wear the face of sincerity. This is not hypocrisy, it is a survival strategy. What does perception management consist of? First, choose virtues that others easily accept. Machiavelli said that a leader must appear merciful, faithful, honest, religious, but when circumstances demand, they must be ready to abandon all of these. He did not tell you to live wickedly, he told you not to be bound by your own moral image. When necessary, wear the cloak of virtue. When necessary, cast it off, as long as it serves your objective. For Machiavelli, virtue is a tool, not a fixed principle. No one judges you based on what you truly are, they judge based on what they see you to be. Second, symbolic actions. Machiavelli understood that one symbolic action, displayed publicly, holds more power than hundreds of private deeds. A leader visiting the poor once, but with media coverage, will be remembered more than someone who quietly helps all year. In the modern world, this remains true. A manager who throws a party for employees once may be seen as caring, even if he is absent most of the time. A politician taking photos at a hospital, visiting victims, garners more goodwill than someone quietly reforming the healthcare system. This leads to a paradox. Reality matters less than perception, and whoever controls perception controls power. Third, control information. Machiavelli said a wise leader keeps others in the dark about their true intentions. There is no need for blatant lies. Simply reveal the advantageous parts and conceal the unfavorable ones. It is not deceit that builds power, it is the selective presentation of truth. In the modern world, this manifests through controlling information. Companies publish positive metrics and downplay negative ones. Politicians release information when it benefits them, delay or distort it when it does not. Individuals do the same, from crafting their social media profiles to the way they tell their life stories. These are all acts of perception management. Fourth, share successes, distance from failures. Machiavelli outlined a principle: when a decision brings benefits, the leader must take credit. When difficulties arise, let subordinates handle them, or at least let subordinates take the blame. Why? Because people have short-term, emotional memories. They easily forget who did the real work but always remember who made them feel good or bad. They do not care deeply about the truth, they care about their experience. And a wise leader knows how to shape that experience. The danger of neglecting perception management. Those who believe just be authentic and people will understand are victims of their own naivety. Machiavelli did not promote deceit. He simply warned that those who fail to manage how others perceive them will be manipulated by others who do. If you refuse to build your image, others will build one for you, and that image may have nothing to do with the truth. The world does not operate on objective reality. It operates on what people believe to be true. Machiavelli taught that the strong are not those who hold the truth, but those who control the perception of the truth. Therefore, be the one who chooses the right image and knows when to shed it to do what is necessary. This is not falseness. This is understanding how the world operates and playing by its rules. 4. The leader's toolbox, practical tactics. Machiavelli didn't stop at exposing human nature or theorizing about perception management. He went further, providing anyone seeking power with a complete toolbox of practical tactics applicable in daily life. From politics to the workplace, and even in personal relationships, these tactics aren't shallow tricks. They're distilled from observing how real leaders operate in a world where morality often serves as a veil for deeper motives. These are tools to help you survive and thrive in environments where naivety equates to being manipulated. Tactic 1. Calculated generosity. Machiavelli once said, "People forget the death of their father more quickly than the loss of their inheritance." This may sound harsh, but it reveals a fundamental truth about human motivation. Material benefits often outweigh emotions. A wise leader knows that to secure loyalty and respect, one shouldn't rely solely on words or emotions but should provide tangible benefits. The key is calculated generosity. Don't distribute benefits randomly or anonymously. Ensure that recipients clearly know who provided them. In the corporate world, this explains why savvy managers personally award bonuses and recognize achievements to associate their image with employee prosperity. In politics, it's why politicians emphasize specific benefits they deliver to voters, be it a bridge, a school, or a welfare project. More importantly, generosity should create dependency. Don't give in a way that allows others to leave you at any time. Give in a manner that makes them realize that leaving you means losing something they can't easily find elsewhere. Tactic 2. Mercy with limits. Either caress or destroy. This is Machiavelli's principle when dealing with adversaries or threats. According to him, half measures only breed resentment. If you pardon an enemy but leave them the opportunity for revenge, they will eventually take it. In the workplace, this means that when someone harms the team or causes instability, address it decisively. Either fully reintegrate them by giving them a clear chance to make amends, or remove them entirely from the system. Retaining a disgruntled individual is akin to nurturing a seed of rebellion. This approach doesn't advocate cruelty but clarity. Machiavelli emphasizes, when dealing with a threat, ensure it can't return to harm you. If possible, transform it into an ally. If not, don't hesitate to eliminate it thoroughly. Tactic 3. Crisis is opportunity. One of Machiavelli's sharpest lessons is, a crisis isn't a disaster, it's a disguised opportunity. In chaotic times, people become more malleable, traditional barriers are set aside, and significant changes can be implemented more easily. Machiavelli doesn't suggest creating crises but teaches that when they occur, the wise don't waste time lamenting. They act. They use the moment to restructure, consolidate power, and change the rules in their favor. In politics, major reforms often follow economic crises, wars, or natural disasters. In business, outstanding leaders use crises to cut inefficiencies, innovate operational models, and reposition in the market. The tactic here is to always prepare alternative plans so that when a crisis erupts, you can swiftly capitalize on it. Don't let a crisis merely be a storm that passes over you. Turn it into the wind that propels your sails. Tactic 4. Strategic alliances. Machiavelli underscores the importance of alliances but warns that they only hold value when they bolster your position. Be the one holding the keys to the alliance, don't be the one begging for it. In corporate or social environments, This means becoming an indispensable intermediary whom all parties seek to collaborate with. To achieve this, build valuable connections and make yourself a resource, a person who can open doors for others. Alliances aren't just for defense, they're tools to consolidate power and expand influence. But Machiavelli cautions, don't let alliances weaken you. Ensure you can withdraw or adjust the alliance whenever necessary. Tactic 5. Forecasting to build credibility. Nothing solidifies power like consistently accurate predictions and fulfilling commitments. When you repeatedly make far-sighted decisions and prove yourself right, you build an irreplaceable image. Machiavelli understands that people are more persuaded by a series of successes than by a single unexpected triumph. Outstanding leaders often orchestrate achievements carefully, each step reinforcing the image of competence and invincibility. This also applies to negotiations or personal branding. Create small but continuous successes to reinforce others' belief in your capabilities. Even if failures occur, shield them behind significant successes that overshadow them. The tools in Machiavelli's toolbox aren't for someone to become a villain but to avoid becoming a victim. They teach how to survive in a world where power and influence don't come naturally, they must be seized, protected, and maintained. Those who ignore these tools are either naive or ready to let others lead the game. 5. The modern Machiavelli, subtle control. 500 years have passed since Machiavelli's time. The world has changed, power has changed, but the core principles of control remain intact. If Renaissance princes ruled with armies and decrees, then the princes of the modern era, CEOs, politicians, negotiators, leaders, play the game through subtle influence, through soft strategies, hiding behind the facade of cooperation and transparency. They don't need to threaten, don't need to coerce, yet they still hold power firmly in their hands. This is the modern Machiavelli. Instead of giving orders, they create environments. Instead of forcing, they construct structures of benefit that make others willingly comply. Instead of debating, they shape perception. This is a world where power doesn't come from speaking directly, but from controlling choices, from making others feel like they are making decisions, when in fact, all paths have been calculated in advance. Controlling information, the greatest weapon. In the digital age, information is power, but not all information needs to be shared. The modern Machiavelli understands that controlling information is the fastest way to control decisions. They don't lie, but they choose what is revealed, when, and to whom. A wise leader never lays all their cards on the table. They break information into pieces, revealing it at the most advantageous moment, holding back the important parts until the opponent has no choice but to accept. This is why, in major negotiations, details about strengths, limits, or what one is willing to concede are only disclosed when necessary, never earlier. In the workplace, the modern Machiavelli doesn't win by applying overt pressure but by asking questions, opening up seemingly broad choices that subtly lead others to conclusions favorable to them. They control the game by steering the decision-making process, not merely the final outcome, creating the illusion of freedom of choice. This is one of the most refined arts of control, making others feel they're deciding. While every path leads to the point you desire, a simple example is when a leader offers 2 or 3 options to an employee. On the surface, the employee feels they have the freedom to choose, but in reality, all 3 options have been designed to serve the leader's overarching goal. Choosing between these options gives the employee a sense of control, creating satisfaction while reducing resistance, all while the leader maintains strategic direction. In politics, this strategy is even more common. Leaders never leave voters with a yes or no choice but present multiple alternatives, each satisfying different needs of various interest groups. Voters feel heard and empowered, but in truth, every option remains within the control of the rulers. Controlling expectations, the unspoken rule of power. Another form of control employed by the modern Machiavelli is shaping expectations. They don't satisfy others by meeting every desire, but by managing those expectations. Think of a skilled leader or negotiator. They never overpromise. Instead, they lower expectations at the outset, so that any outcome exceeding those expectations feels like an extraordinary success. When people feel they've received more than they anticipated, they are easily satisfied and even grateful. This is also why wise leaders often hold back some positive outcomes to reveal at strategic moments, as a timely boost of trust. When the crowd begins to doubt, a surprising achievement is unveiled, rekindling faith and support. Not everything is disclosed from the beginning. Power lies in the ability to control the rhythm of expectations and reactions. Applying indirect pressure, never needing to act overtly. A subtle tactic of the modern Machiavelli is applying indirect pressure. They don't need to confront or stress directly, but design environments where others feel compelled to act according to their will. For example, a leader may not explicitly order employees to work overtime, but they can create a culture where those who work late are recognized, while those who don't are noticed. No orders are given, yet the system runs itself, and people impose pressure on themselves. In personal relationships too, a subtle controller never makes direct demands. Instead, they create hints, unspoken expectations that lead the other person to feel responsible or motivated to comply. You aren't forced, yet you still do what they desire. The invisible hand of control when people don't realize they're being led. The modern Machiavelli understands that true power doesn't come from making others feel controlled. It comes from them not realizing it at all. When someone feels coerced, they resist, but when they believe they're free, they willingly follow the path already laid out for them. This is why great leaders always avoid issuing overt commands. They encourage, persuade, suggest, so that others feel voluntary. This increases satisfaction, reduces negative reactions, and sustains power in the long term. The greatest power is the one that doesn't need to prove itself, doesn't need to be obvious. It seeps into the system, permeates perception, operates in the subconscious, and that is where the modern Machiavelli stands firm, no matter how the world changes. 6. Free secrets of power manipulation in the modern era. Secret 1. True power always hides itself. True power doesn't flaunt itself. It doesn't shout in the crowd, doesn't need the spotlight, nor does it demand recognition. The most effective power is silent, hidden power. Those who truly hold power don't need to appear powerful. They let others believe they're in control while they manipulate the strings from behind the scenes. Machiavelli recognized this early on when observing the intricate Italian courts, where seemingly powerless individuals, advisors, lower-ranking officials, even peripheral figures, could steer entire kingdoms with a timely whisper. These individuals never occupied the center of power but were the ones guiding every move. They didn't sit on the throne but controlled those who did. Today, hidden power isn't just the game of politicians, it's everywhere. In companies, it's the humble employee who never argues in meetings, yet every major decision seeks their input. In social circles, it's the quiet individual whose single comment can shift the group's dynamics. They don't strive to prove anything. They let others speak, take the spotlight, while they quietly control what's truly important. Why does true power hide? Because once you flaunt power, you expose yourself, and exposure makes you a target. People can only attack what they can see. By staying hidden, you maintain flexibility. Others don't know your strength or your intentions. This ambiguity gives you an edge. The first advantage is safety. Those who flaunt power quickly become targets. The more they show off, the more challenges they attract. Hidden power, however, is immeasurable and unpredictable. Others can't discern whom you're influencing, when you'll act, or the extent of your true influence. The second advantage is freedom. Without being labeled as the one in charge, you can move freely, observe, and impact critical points without drawing attention. You can change strategies and fronts without needing to explain to anyone. This allows you to adapt flexibly to any situation, while those in public positions are bound by others' expectations. Machiavelli once said, "Those who truly hold power are often the least noticed." Hidden power lets you control without bearing the risks of scrutiny, opposition, or overthrow. You let others believe they have power, while you're the one guiding them to where you want. In modern politics, consultants, interest groups, and behind-the-scenes organizations exemplify hidden power. They don't seek fame or public appearances but influence significant decisions. In business, strategic advisors, investors behind CEOs, or those controlling cash flows are the real power holders, even if no one knows their faces. So, how do you build hidden power? 3 essential factors. Factor 1. Listen more than you speak. Those with true power don't flaunt their knowledge. They ask timely questions and gather information. While others talk, they quietly assess, analyze, and identify each person's weaknesses. Factor 2. Control information. Don't reveal all your intentions or capabilities. Share selectively, letting others know only what you want them to know, keeping the rest to yourself. Finally, create dependency. When you provide solutions, connections, or opportunities to others, ensure they feel it's something they can't obtain elsewhere. Their dependence on you becomes the invisible thread that keeps power in your hands. Remember, the most enduring power is the one that doesn't need to be proven. When others don't know your true strength, they'll always be cautious, always fear what they can't see, and it's this hiddenness that makes you the one controlling the game. Secret 2. Never reveal the whole picture. In the art of control and influence, one of the deadliest mistakes is exposing the entire picture, allowing others to fully understand your plans, thoughts, or limits. Once someone comprehends you from beginning to end, they no longer fear you, nor are they captivated by any sense of mystery. They know what you will do next, and that strips you of your power. Machiavelli understood this very well. The greatest strength does not lie in what you reveal, but in what you conceal. Imagine playing chess. If your opponent knows your strategy, knows every move you intend to make, do you still stand a chance to win? No, but if you keep them guessing, bewildered by your unpredictable moves, you maintain the upper hand. Ambiguity, where no one knows exactly what your ultimate goal is, creates unease in the opponent's mind. And it is precisely that unease that keeps you strong. Why keep the picture hidden? Ambiguity forces others to speculate. Human beings tend to fill in blanks with their own fears, expectations, or assumptions. When you don't say everything, when you leave your intentions unclear, they begin crafting their own scenarios. These scenarios are often more severe or impressive than reality. This makes you unpredictable, a core element of power. Holding back the untold parts helps you maintain control. When no one knows the full story, you always have a trump card. When others believe they've seen everything, you simply unveil the rest, instantly flipping the game. This is how you maintain the upper hand, while those who lay everything bare remain locked within the confines they set for themselves. Retain the right to adjust. When every plan or idea is exposed too early, you bind yourself to unnecessary commitments. But when you reserve part of it for yourself, you can change strategies without being seen as a traitor or inconsistent. This gives you the flexibility to adapt to any situation without losing others' trust. Machiavelli once said, "Uncertainty is the most effective tool of power." When people don't know what you will do next, they are forced to keep their distance, to be cautious. When they think they understand you, they begin to underestimate you. That's when you lose influence. So, how do you conceal the picture effectively? Reveal information selectively and purposefully. Let the information you share drip out in carefully chosen portions. Show others a part of the picture, enough for them to feel reassured or intrigued, but never enough for them to grasp the whole. Vary your rhythm. Sometimes be open, sometimes remain utterly silent. This makes it impossible for others to determine when you are truly sharing and when you are holding back. They will always suspect, and that suspicion creates a safe distance for you. Distract with peripheral details. Show others unimportant things or relevant side details, so they believe they've grasped the situation. Meanwhile, the most critical part remains hidden. This allows the opponent to grow complacent with what they think they know, while you control the real picture behind the scenes. Create multiple layers of information. Instead of offering direct answers, provide many layers of meaning. Make others think, make them search for answers within your incomplete words. Ambiguity allows you to retain depth and control because they will never be certain of your true intentions. A classic example, in negotiations, if you reveal everything you want up front, the other side can easily adjust their strategy to gain the upper hand. But if you only disclose a few needs while holding back the critical factors, you prevent them from backing you into a corner. They won't know how far you're willing to compromise, and that forces them to tread carefully. Power does not lie in laying everything bare, but in the ability to withhold the most crucial part for yourself. When you master this, you ensure that no one ever fully grasps you, an irreplaceable advantage in any game. Secret 3. Make others want what you want. Supreme power does not come from coercion, threats, or force. It comes from making others believe they are acting on their own will. while in reality, they are following the path you've designed. This is the pinnacle of subtle control, when your will becomes someone else's desire. Machiavelli understood that the most sustainable power is not built on fear or passive obedience. It is when others willingly follow your lead, even believing the idea originated from themselves. This not only sustains your influence but avoids resistance or resentment. So how do you achieve this level of control? Create the illusion of choice. But every road leads back to you when you issue a direct command. People resist. Human nature craves freedom, but when you offer carefully crafted choices and let them decide within a range you set, they feel in control. The key is ensuring that all options lead to your desired outcome. This is how seasoned negotiators manipulate the bargaining table. They never force you to accept a condition but offer 2 to 3 alternatives, all aligning with their objectives. Activate deep-seated desires. Everyone harbors hidden motivations: reputation, safety, wealth, affection, ambition. True power lies in understanding these drivers and linking what you want to what they crave. To make someone act according to your will, spark a need that you can fulfill, showing them that agreeing with you satisfies their deepest desires. Example: if you want an employee to work harder, don't directly demand performance, tie it to their personal values. This project is your chance to demonstrate leadership, or completing this will position you for the promotion you've been aiming for. Harness the need for recognition. Humans yearn for acknowledgement and to feel significant. Machiavelli knew that controlling this need grants control over people. Make others believe they are a crucial part of your plan. Let them feel that without them, things won't work as smoothly. When someone feels indispensable, they will willingly do whatever it takes to maintain that role, even following your lead without realizing it. Lead with questions instead of orders. Commands easily trigger resistance. In contrast, open-ended questions guide thought, leading others to conclusions you've predetermined. Instead of saying, "Do this for me," ask, "What do you think is the most effective way to solve this issue? How would achieving this goal make you feel about yourself?" Skillfully crafted questions lead others to the decisions you want, making them act on what feels like their own choice. Make others feel they are winning. Machiavelli understood that people love the sensation of victory. Instead of forcing someone to comply, structure the situation so they believe they are winning. Offer them small victories, visible benefits that make them feel in control. Meanwhile, you maintain the larger control, guiding them toward the long-term goal you set. Ultimate power is invisible power, when others think they are deciding freely while they are actually moving along the path you've drawn. They don't feel coerced, nor do they resent it. They are even grateful for feeling in charge. This is the height of subtle manipulation, not manipulation to crush, but to steer, to make everything flow in your direction, effortlessly and naturally. When you master this, you don't just control outcomes, you control the very decision-making processes of others. True power does not lie in display or in speaking much, it lies in controlling information, in the ability to make others reveal themselves while you hold back what matters most. Those who grasp this principle do not need to win by force, but by patience and strategy. The modern world encourages us to share everything, but those who truly hold influence know to speak only when necessary and to remain silent when required. They let results speak in place of words. They make others guess, painting the picture according to their design. So, do not rush to speak. Let others speak first. Never show your whole hand. Speak less, do more. That is the only way, not merely to survive, but to gain the upper hand in every game.